Okay.
Okay. Uber has certainly started a trend. They disrupted the taxi industry. Now we seem to have the Uber of politics. A new Australian political party called Flux is using technology to disrupt the way our government works. Let's find out a bit more. Max, tell me, how does Flux work and how is it going to disrupt the party-based political system?
So Flux is both a party and a technical platform. We're going to use the party to get elected and then use the platform in order to sort of crowdsource how issues or the people responsible for dealing with issues are decided. And so that allows, specialists and community groups to come in and have a direct say on legislation, which is something that currently we don't have. And that means that we can get good explanations from people that actually know what to do instead of having these politicians as middlemen who are, pretty bad at actually deciding what's best for communities.
It sounds like to be a member of Flux, you have to be pretty engaged politically. Do you think Aussies are too lazy to get that involved?
No, one of the things that's one of our top priorities is reducing the barrier to entry as much as possible. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for when someone wants to get politically involved and when they want to have a say, they can download the app, sign up really quickly, and then instead of having to engage in every issue or to be a specialist or to learn a lot of stuff, they can just delegate their vote to someone they trust, whether that's GetUp or the Australian Christian Lobby or whoever else. We want to get as many groups on there as possible to give voters a real choice.
How do you tend to sell Flux to the older population who aren't as tech savvy?
So this is an interesting question because some of our best respondents have actually been people over 55 who are really concerned about the way that politics are going and their disenfranchisement. So one of the things that we're really going to put a lot of effort into is making this technology accessible. So doing things like separating out the interface from the security side, and what that means is we can distribute small devices for people to keep their vote secure, but then do things like have public, say, tablets in public libraries or around the country where people can go, they can interact with this very easily, very quickly, and very securely, regardless of their technical ability.
Now, I just want to get the complete concept of trading and swapping your votes. How many votes do you get? Do you just get one vote at a time, or per issue? What is it?
So this does have some technicalities in there because we intend to bring on, for example, give the opportunity for other MPs to get on board and minor parties to get on board. But when we're talking just about citizens, then yeah, everyone has one vote. So that's everyone gets one vote per issue, and then there's a small amount of what we're calling political points underneath, and that's what you can swap your vote for. We also distribute political points consistently to everyone, sort of you can imagine like one a week sort of thing, something like that. And so that provides sort of a good basis for that swapping so that people don't sort of lose out via market forces, but also means that we can coordinate through this one sort of underlying liquidity thing. Yep. Anyway, that's...
How are you going to stop big corporations and lobbyists or some of the big political parties just signing up and passing what they want?
So we actually have 4 different ways to deal with this. The first is that because we're locking minor parties into a coalition at the time of the election, it means that Flux itself will only have maybe 20-30% of the block that we have, and so and that stays like that. So the more people that join, it just waters that down in between election cycles. So while that does, allow, say, the coalition to, have all their members sign up to do a little bit of damage, that's very mitigated throughout the one cycle. The second is that the trading mechanism, because it relies on demand and supply, means that if someone wants to come in and push through bad policy, then that pushes up the amount of resources they need to dedicate to that. And so if you consider, say, a lobby group that comes in, want to push us through their policy over, fair policy that everyone else likes, that means they're going to have to spend a lot more resources than they would normally have to do if they put through good policy. And so that means that this sort of, trying to game the system like this really reduces the ability of these sort of entities to continue to participate. The third layer is that Flux focuses more on correcting mistakes rather than getting it right the first time. So even if someone has a large amount of political points that they're going to spend all on one issue, then if they spend them all, then the next day someone's just going to put forward some legislation to undo that. And so by correcting mistakes, we make it far less easy for corporations to do this. And the final way is that if someone tries to effectively buy votes, we've designed the system so that that needs to be very loud and very public. And at that point, because that's against our terms of service effectively, we can bring down the ban hammer and really just remove them from the system.
How can you trust the senator elected to follow Flux's system? How transparent will it be where people who are members of Flux can see where all of the votes have gone?
So that's sort of two questions there. In terms of the transparency, we're going to be hosting this on an open database on the internet. So all of that's going to be tamper-proof, that's going to be public. So we're going to provide auditing software so everyone can audit it from their home computers. In terms of trusting the senators to vote the way that the party instructs, we're putting a lot of effort into finding people who are mission-driven in the same way that we are in order to, improve democracy as much as possible, as opposed to trying to get in for their own political gains. That's a difficult question to answer. Ultimately, because of some old common law from back in the 1800s, we can't contractually obligate senators to vote in a particular way, but we are trying to come up with some creative solutions beyond the sort of like both party side and the social side that bind other party members from, say, the Coalition or the Greens to vote the direction of their party. So we're looking into that.
How are you funding this party?
So right now, it's just out of our pockets. We are, we're not keen on trying to leverage our member base or leverage small donations to begin with. We want to be able to prove the system works before we start asking for money more generally. At this stage, we're working with some well-connected people that have an interest in this sort of thing passing, and we're trying to sort of bring on some large donations on the back end there, but that's sort of still in the works.
There's been some rumours that you're working with the controversial political strategist Glenn Drury. Is this true?
Yes, we are ultimately pro-democracy, so we want to work with everyone. That includes Glenn, that includes the left, that includes the right. We're about democracy, we're not about exclusion.
But he can look like he's got his grubby fingers on it.
Yes, he is somewhat controversial. Ultimately, though, if we were to try and not deal with him, that would put us in a far worse position for the election, and our number one priority is getting elected.
Do you think that other politicians will think you're a joke because this basically just came out of a Facebook page?
So more than half our members have been driven organically, not via Facebook. Ultimately, we're suggesting something really novel. So yeah, we expect other politicians to consider us a joke. Once we get 6 senators in, maybe they'll take us seriously, though.
Do you think Flux can actually break the political system?
I don't know. So this is interesting. It's designed so that if it's not good, then it should die. It should fail. And that's built into the core. So the only way that we can go is up. There's no way, like if this fails, then, firstly, we've got a whole lot of minor parties there who already have policy. So there's sort of a level of safety net there. But then the only real way that this can work is to improve the system. When you consider it, bringing more people on board, having more policy options, it's very difficult for that to end badly for us.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks. That wasn't as bad as I expected.
You did quite well. You did